The human eye processes movement at approximately 24 frames per second. According to witnesses present that evening, what occurred in the ring lasted less than 3 seconds. Yet those who saw it would spend decades attempting to reconstruct precisely what happened, frame by impossible frame. The challenge had been simple enough. Hit me. One strike. The heavyweight champion had removed his gloves, spread his arms wide, and offered his solar plexus as a target. He would not block, would not move, would not flinch. The smaller man need only land a single blow to prove his art was more than choreographed theater. 300 witnesses had gathered in the downtown sports arena, though this was no sanctioned bout. Word had spread through telephone calls and hurried conversations in gymnasium corridors. The heavyweight, 6 feet 3 inches of sculpted muscle, undefeated in 47 professional fights, had grown weary of hearing comparisons. The martial artist, 5 feet 7, 135 pounds, had been filming nearby when the challenge arrived. According to those present, he accepted without hesitation. Muhammad Ali stood in the center of the ring, arms spread in cruciform position, that famous smile playing at the corners of his mouth. February 1972, Los Angeles. The man who had faced Sonny Liston's thunderous right hand, who had absorbed Joe Frazier's relentless hooks, now invited a strike from Bruce Lee. The film star, the choreographer, the one Ali had reportedly called a dancer pretending to be a fighter. Lee climbed through the ropes wearing simple black training pants, no shirt, canvas shoes. His weight barely disturbed the ring's surface. Witnesses recalled the particular quality of silence that descended. Not the pregnant hush before a heavyweight bout, but something more unsettling. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Someone coughed in the third row. Lee's hands remained relaxed at his sides. "Your best shot," Ali said, according to multiple accounts. "I won't block. I won't move. Let's see if Kung Fu is real or just dancing." The negotiations had lasted 3 weeks. Intermediaries shuttled between camps, hammering out terms. No cameras, Ali insisted on this point. No reporters, just witnesses drawn from both men's training camps. If Lee succeeded in landing a meaningful strike, Ali would acknowledge it publicly. If he failed, he would admit his art was merely performance. The stakes, though unspoken, were understood by everyone present. Reputation, legacy, the fundamental question of what constituted real combat. Lee stood 3 feet from the champion. Those nearest the ring reported that his breathing never changed, remaining shallow and rhythmic. His eyes, they said, never left Ali's. Not the chest he was meant to strike, but the eyes. Ali's grin, witnesses claimed, began to fade by degrees. Time, in such moments, becomes elastic. Neurologists would later explain that extreme stress causes the amygdala to lay down memories with unusual density, creating the perception of temporal dilation. To those watching, the next few seconds unspooled with excruciating clarity. Lee's right foot shifted perhaps 2 inches. His weight transferred imperceptibly from rear to front. His right hand, previously hanging loose at his hip, began to rise. Not quickly. Those watching could track its motion. The striking surface was neither fist nor palm, but something between, fingers partially extended, the hand forming what Lee's students would later describe as a modified Bill G position. Ali watched it coming. Multiple witnesses confirmed this detail. The heavyweight champion, whose reflexes had allowed him to slip punches from the fastest heavyweights in history, watched Bruce Lee's hand travel the 18 inches between hip and target. His expression, according to those present, shifted from amusement to something harder to define. The hand accelerated. Human perception has thresholds. A baseball pitched at 90 miles per hour travels from mound to plate in 0.4 of a second. Elite batters must begin their swing before the ball has traveled half that distance. They hit what they anticipate, not what they see. Bruce Lee's hand, according to later calculations based on witness testimony, covered the final 6 inches of its journey in less than 50 milliseconds. The sound was wrong. Those expecting the meaty thud of fist against flesh heard instead something sharp and precise. One witness compared it to a whip crack, another to the snap of dry bamboo. Ali's diaphragm, caught in mid-exhalation, spasmed. His intercostal muscles, unprepared for the peculiar angle and concentration of force, provided no protection. The champion's knees buckled. Not dramatically. He was too proud and too strong for that, but noticeably. His hands, which had remained spread wide throughout, dropped to his sides. His mouth opened, seeking air that would not come. For 5 seconds, according to consistent witness testimony, Muhammad Ali could not breathe. Lee had already stepped back, hand returned to his hip, posture identical to moments before. Only the faint sheen of perspiration on Ali's forehead suggested anything had occurred. The heavyweight champion sank to both knees, head bowed, chest heaving as his respiratory system gradually resumed function. The arena remained silent. 300 people, many of them professional fighters, had just witnessed something that contradicted their understanding of combat sports. Ali outweighed Lee by nearly 100 pounds. His reach advantage was 7 inches. He had taken punches from men who could break heavy bags with their bare hands. Yet he knelt on the canvas, temporarily unable to draw breath from a single strike delivered by a man half his size. When Ali finally rose, witnesses disagreed on the exact duration, estimates ranging from 15 to 30 seconds. He did so slowly. His famous poetry, the verbal jabs that accompanied every public appearance, remained unspoken. He found Lee's eyes again, and according to several accounts, nodded once. "What did you do?" Ali asked when he could speak. The question was not accusatory but genuinely curious, the tone of one professional to another. Lee's response, reported by multiple witnesses though the exact wording varied. "I showed you. Martial arts isn't about power. It's about understanding the body, where it's weak, how it moves, what it cannot protect." The heavyweight champion extended his glove for Lee to touch. Not a handshake, something more formal, the acknowledgement between warriors. Then he spoke the words that those present would puzzle over for decades. "Nobody will believe this." He was correct. When word of the encounter leaked, despite all parties' agreement to silence, the boxing community dismissed it as fabrication. Physiologically impossible, experts declared. No strike from a lightweight could incapacitate a conditioned heavyweight, especially one who saw it coming. The story became one of those peculiar legends that exist in the margins of sports history, neither fully believed nor entirely dismissed. Lee never spoke publicly about that night. When pressed by students or journalists, he would redirect the conversation to technical matters, discussing angles of entry or the difference between muscular armor and structural vulnerability. Ali, for his part, maintained the same position throughout his career. "Bruce Lee hit me. Did not see it. Did not feel it coming. That little man has something real." The truth, if such a thing exists in moments where legend and history intersect, remains confined to those who stood in that arena. Most are now dead. Those who survive tell consistent stories about the broad strokes. The challenge issued, the strike delivered, the champion momentarily felled, but diverge on crucial details. How long did Ali remain on his knees? What exactly did Lee do with his hand in that final instant? Why did a man who had taken thousands of punches react so dramatically to this particular strike? Biomechanics offers partial explanations. The solar plexus, that network of nerves behind the stomach, remains vulnerable regardless of muscular development. A precisely angled strike can trigger an immediate neurological response: diaphragm paralysis, vasovagal syncope, temporary respiratory arrest. But knowledge and execution exist in different realms. Thousands of fighters understand these vulnerabilities. Few, if any, could exploit them against an alert, prepared opponent. The film Lee had been shooting, The Way of the Dragon, wrapped 3 days later. He never mentioned the encounter to cast or crew. Ali returned to training for his rematch with Joe Frazier. Both men moved forward as if nothing had occurred, leaving only questions in their wake. Years later, one of Ali's trainers would offer his own interpretation of that night. Muhammad wanted to understand, he said. Not defeat or embarrass, understand. Bruce showed him something that shouldn't have been possible. Ali spent his whole career proving the impossible was possible. Maybe he recognized a kindred spirit. The arena where it happened was demolished in 1998. The ring, sold to a collector, disappeared into private hands. No footage exists, despite persistent rumors of a hidden camera. Only the testimonies remain, filtered through decades of memory and interpretation, each witness convinced their version captures the truth of those 3 seconds. What remains incontestable? 2 men met in a ring with conflicting ideas about combat. One believed in power, angles, the sweet science of boxing. The other practiced something older and stranger, an art concerned less with force than with the body's hidden failures. For 3 seconds, according to those who watched, these philosophies collided. The result satisfied no one. Boxing purists found the story impossible. No lightweight could hurt a heavyweight champion who saw the blow coming. Martial arts enthusiasts claimed vindication, while ignoring that Lee required perfect conditions and a stationary target. Both camps missed the point that Ali himself reportedly grasped immediately. The question was never about superiority, but about possibility. In his private moments, Ali would sometimes demonstrate for close friends what happened that night. He would spread his arms, indicate the spot below his sternum where Lee's hand had made contact, and shake his head with something approaching wonder. Like being hit by lightning, he would say. If lightning could think. Lee died 20 months after the encounter, leaving behind films that would transform martial arts cinema and a legacy of technical innovation. Ali fought for 9 more years, accumulating victories and defeats with equal grace. Neither man, as far as anyone knows, ever attempted to repeat their experiment. The witnesses aged and scattered. Some embellished their accounts, adding details that strained credibility. Others grew reticent, as if protecting something sacred. A few maintained that what they saw that night fundamentally altered their understanding of human capability. The moment when Bruce Lee's hand accelerated beyond conscious tracking. The instant Muhammad Ali realized his strength offered no protection. The 5 seconds when a heavyweight champion could not draw breath. These are the facts as reported by those present. A challenge was issued and accepted. 2 men entered a ring. 1 strike was delivered. A champion fell to his knees. Beyond these points, certainty dissolves into interpretation, legend into longing. What happened in that ring remains locked in the memories of those who witnessed it, a secret shared by ghosts. The last surviving witness, interviewed shortly before his death, offered this reflection. People want to know who won. They missed the point. Nobody won. Bruce proved something to Ali. Ali proved something to Bruce. The rest of us? We saw something that made us question everything we thought we knew about fighting. He paused, seeming to look past the interviewer to that night 40 years distant. 3 seconds, he said. 3 seconds that felt like 3 hours. Bruce moved, Ali fell, and all of us, every single person in that arena, knew we'd never see anything like it again. Perhaps that is why the story persists, despite official denials and physiological improbabilities. In a world that demands evidence and documentation, those 3 seconds exist outside conventional proof. They belong to the witnesses who carried them forward, each retelling adding another layer of meaning or mystery. A moment when the impossible became briefly possible, when size meant nothing, when understanding trumped strength. The arena is gone. The men are dead. The witnesses grow fewer each year. But the story continues its peculiar life, neither fully history nor entirely myth. Those who were there know what they saw, even if they can't quite explain it. A hand moving faster than thought. A champion brought low by precision. 3 seconds that suggested the human body contains secrets that even its greatest students have barely begun to comprehend. In the end, Muhammad Ali was right. Nobody truly believed it. But those who were there, who heard the whip crack of impact, who watched the champion sink to his knees, who felt the electric silence that followed, they never forgot, even if history chose to.